So now what we want to do is we want to learn how can we create histograms. So in order to do that, we first need a set of data to work with. In this case, we're going to use the faithful dataset, right? So this dataset is a built-in dataset in R. So we can say faithful. And if you come into the help tab, so this dataset is all faithful geyser data, and it has waiting time between eruptions and the duration of the eruption for the old faithful geyser. Okay, so this is faithful. So let us see the head of this data. And then you can see, and then we can say faithful. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to create a histogram, right? And say, for example, this is a histogram of times between eruptions of old faithful geyser. So how can we do that? We're going to use the hist function, right? And then we're going to say faithful, and then we're going to pass in waiting, because we are creating a histogram of time between eruptions of old faithful. And then if we run this, and you will observe here that we have created this simple histogram. It has cycle and as well as the frequency, and it also has these X labels that we want to see how can we change later. Okay, so when it's come to choosing the number of bins, we can also have additional argument, right? So for example, we can add breaks. So if we add breaks argument, we are telling R the number of bars that we want in the histogram. Say for example, we come and say here, we want 20. And if we run this, we have specified the number of bars that we want in our own histogram. So that is an example of how you can specify the number of bars. But now you can also create a histogram with custom breaks, right? So in order to do that, we have to pass in a vector. So if I come in here and say, and then I'm going to say I want it's 40, it's 45, 55, and say 60, 70, 75, 85, and say 90, and then say hundreds. All right, and if I run this, you observe that now we have created a histogram with custom breaks, right? It has a break first, for example, at 45, and then it's a break at 55, then it's a break at 60, then it's a break at 70, and then it's a break at 75. We have created our own histogram by having custom breaks. Okay, so that is how you can specify the number of your bins that you want by specifying breaks. So how can we add colors to our histogram? So in order to do that, I'm going to come in here and say for example, I want my histogram, let's say use light blue, right? So the same as we have seen when it comes to the bar graphs is that when we add color argument, it's simply just color the whole histogram. So that is how you can add color to your histogram. You can also add your border, the border color, right? So in order to specify the border of the bars, so the color that you want to use for the border of the bars. So if you come here and say, let's use gold. So you observe now that we have changed the border color of this histogram. When it comes to the title, the X labels and the Y labels, we can also do that when it comes to the histograms. So if we come in here and say, going to remove this, and I'm going to say main, move this a little bit. Then I'm going to come here and say main, and I'm going to say this is time between eruptions. So this was old faithful right? I can also come and say the X label will be the time, say the time in minutes. And if I run this, and we have added our own title and we have added our own axis label. So that is how you can customize your own histogram.